really scary. There's so many unemployed doctors, and people always say that after your community service, it's so difficult to get a post in the public healthcare sector because the government doesn't have enough funds to employ more doctors. And now that I'm here and I'm like checking online the posts, I'm like, yo, there's really like very few posts. You don't treat a person's body and the illness, you treat the person. I want to be the doctor that you go to before you actually get sick. One time I remember I was called to the wards, there was a patient that passed away, and now I have to call the family. While I was on the phone, they just like cried and screamed, and I was on the other side of the phone and my tears just kept pouring, and I have to speak on this phone just like not to sound like I'm also crying. You can look amazing, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you are really healthy. A lot of women always think that you need to jump onto this 4 weeks or 8 weeks how to get lean and extreme diet. It's really not in the extremes. It's just like building a lifestyle that you can actually be consistent with.
What does healing mean to you?
Oh, you're asking the most difficult question right at the end. Healing is more than just
Jalencke Coetzee, welcome to the Blue Room.
Thank you so much, Cameron. It's nice to be here today.
So always what I do, I go through a little Insta bio, have a look what you put it there for yourself.
Okay.
So I'm just going to grab a couple of them. So wife, medical doctor, and I said fitness fanatic, and I think you said fitness and health. You also recently won Bargain Face of Fitness. So we're going to jump around a little bit here. Our first question to you. You're a medical doctor, but before that, you're a human being. Define health for you beyond textbooks.
Okay, so for me, health is so much more than just your body. You know, like being a doctor, you don't treat a person's body and the illness, you treat the person. Well, that's why I like to view it. Holistic health, that's something I'm really passionate about. Where are you mentally? Where are you physically, spiritually? For me, it's all about knowing that people are spirit, mind, and body, and treating that holistically. So for me, health is so much more than how fit you are, or whether you maybe you're not sick, but are you really healthy? Are you really well? I mean, you can look super fit and healthy, but actually mentally you can be in a very dark space. And for me, that isn't health, that isn't well-being. So for me, it's the three things: spirit, mind, and body.
So what you said that you integrate your faith into that as well.
Definitely, yeah. Look, Cameron, when you asked me to come on this, you must just know this might turn into a Christian podcast. But it's a big part of who I am. I'm bold about my faith, and that's a very big part of my story. So, yeah.
Okay, well, we'll definitely get into that just now for sure. No, it's really important that on this podcast, we have things for everybody. One of the ladies we had previously was a Muslim lady, and her faith is very important to her. But it's also about, breaking stereotypes and, finding a Muslim lady who's so big into fitness. It's just challenging the status quo completely.
Definitely.
And we want other girls or women or men or boys to look up to the people coming on the show going, if she or he can do it, I can do it too.
100%, because there will be someone you resonate with. With every single person, they have a different story and something that you can resonate with. Yeah.
So doctors fix others. Who fixes you, number one?
Okay.
And B, what does self-care look like for you, especially after an emotionally heavy day, let's say, in the rooms or the hospital?
Okay. So what fixes me? So for me, family and people. That is something that's very important to me, something that I really make a lot of time for. Speaking to my husband about things. If I had a difficult day, I don't always feel like speaking about my emotions and things like that, but I know the importance of it because I was at a place in my life before where I didn't speak about things, and I know like how dark that can go. So definitely speaking to people about it. And then for me, it is definitely my faith, like surrendering all the heavy things that I'm struggling with at God's feet. And that's sort of how I fix after like a heavy day of giving and pouring into other people, because I mean you will always go to patients and ask them what's wrong, how can I help you, and then at the end of the day sometimes I mean who checks in on you, how can someone help you again,
Yeah.
So you need that support system, like 100%. You need to speak to people.
So speaking's a big thing. It's I mean, I've said it previously, like I've been in a really dark space once before, and it was literally, I like to say it's self-imposed. I just didn't talk to anyone, and you slowly but surely, you don't see it coming. It's like gaining weight. You don't see it coming, but then it just kind of hits you like a freight train, and then you in the depths of the depths, and it's literally because you didn't open your own mouth. So, speaking to others, is that something that's really important? And I mean, you say your husband's your sounding board. you're pretty much a sounding board probably for multiple people on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But then you get to sort of, I wouldn't say offload with them, but maybe de-stress and declutter a little
Yeah,
bit.
definitely. So to sort of just like give you more insight of like my type of personality, I'm not actually a very emotional person. But the thing is that can also be dangerous in the sense of like when you do, I can sort of like compartmentalize like my feelings. So if there's something at the hospital at work that is like very emotional or something, I'll sort of put it in a box and store it somewhere else. But I need to go back and deal with it. I need to go back and speak about it. But when I was younger, the thing was I sort of put it in a box
And left it.
and I left it. And that's where things got like became piling up, and that was like a big a big boo boo.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me it's like having those boxes, because I mean I can't be with a patient and now have a mental breakdown. That would be extremely unprofessional.
Yeah.
So I need to have that boxes and I need to go back to it, deal with it, maybe work in a little cry session and then move on. Yeah.
I actually had a question later on, but it's kind of pertinent now. It was more about, the silent nature of healthcare. Be strong, be brave. You can't break, you can't crack, you can't show weakness in front of patients. I mean, that's incredibly detrimental to your health. You're saying you compartmentalizing stuff, and that's great. But if you don't unpack it, it's literally just sweeping things under the carpet, and then eventually there's a big lump under the carpet. And that's, I think that's what a lot of people do. And you're probably in the beginning praised very well for how you deal with things and how you do put things to one side. But unless you are unpacking it, it's going to be
It's just
a
gonna pile up.
massive issue, and it's gonna hit you all at once.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. But at the same time, you also can't just be emotional about everything the whole time. I mean, there was this one time I remember I was called to the wards. There was a patient that passed away. Now it's 2 a.m. in the morning. Honestly, I think I was also like on the verge of a bit of a burnout. So it was like really just due for a holiday. And now I have to call the family, tell them, listen, your loved one passed away. And while I was on the phone, oh, they just like cried and screamed. And I was on the other side of the phone and my tears just kept pouring. And now I have to speak on this phone just like trying not to sound like I'm also crying, you know? So I do get those days where it's a bit more difficult to put it in a box. So you do get those days, and sometimes you sort of have to try and be strong for other people. But I think, yeah, most of it's just important to deal with those things, talk about it.
And then, describe yourself as Jalencke before medicine, and then your sort of evolution through that. Who were you before medicine? Was it something you always wanted to do?
Okay, so when I was in high school, I actually didn't know what I wanted to do. I was either, like you do well in schools, people sort of just say, oh, why don't you go do
Doctor,
medicine?
accountant, medicine.
Your engineer, basically those three, right? So I applied for accounting in Potchefstroom, and then I applied for medicine at Tux. And I was like, listen, if I get in, it's like meant to be. And then I got in, and I was actually a bit sad because I was excited to go to Potch with my friends. Everyone was going there. But for me, I knew like in my heart, 100%, it was like a thing for me. I knew because I prayed about it, even though I wasn't like that strong in my faith that time. I knew if I get placed, it's like a sign, I must go do it. And honestly, I'm so happy that I did. Obviously, it has its challenges, but it's the mindset that I got through becoming a doctor, worldview, not like being isolated in your little world of everything's just going well. Actually, working in the public sector, seeing real life issues, seeing what people really deal with in life, it's really opened my eyes. It's really helped me to. I think, like you can say, when I was younger, I was more selfish, more prideful, more hard, and I've learned to become more soft and compassionate and caring about people. So it's definitely changed me in incredible ways. Opened my eyes to a lot of things. So wouldn't change it for anything.
I mean, obviously, what you're doing on the fitness side marries up quite nicely, especially through faith, and you've got, like you said, a whole holistic view to everything. Were you always sporty? Is it something that you've kind of grown into a bit more recently?
So I always liked being active. So I was always playing hockey or netball or athletics. I did a lot of cross country when I was in school, but it wasn't something that I took like super serious. It was more for the fun of it. But as I was doing cross country and things like that, I got like very, very, very skinny. And I ate a lot, but I ran a lot, and I was just super skinny, very little muscle. And a lot of people would like make comments like, "Are you eating?" and things like that. And it offended me so much in that time. So when I got to university, I was like, "No, I'm gonna build muscle. I'm gonna put on some weight." but I didn't know how to do it in a healthy way. So I basically just ate whatever and like exercised here and there. And I was like super unhealthy, even though I actually didn't look unhealthy. I actually looked a bit like good because I was gaining weight a bit. I actually looked good, but it took me some time to realize like this is not healthy. And that's sort of like how I slowly started getting into weight training and actually looking at what I eat. And it's sort of, it wasn't like a one day and things just radically changed. It was more like a slow, progressive thing of how I got into fitness. Yeah.
And I mean, was that the moment you kind of realized that fitness was more than just movement and that it could be medicine?
Definitely, definitely. And especially like working in healthcare also makes me really see that, like, especially old and frail patients, muscle mass is something that I think is super important and that everyone should do weight training. Literally, like, even my dad, he's turning 60 now, and I saw him this weekend and he's like running, he's really fit and everything. But I'm like tuning him, he must gym legs, he must build muscle because at the end of the day, everyone's going to get old and you don't want to be that old person that's struggling to stand up, that's
Pick up the grandkids.
exactly, yeah, and muscle mass is so important for that. So definitely, I see it in my patients, especially like with things like high blood pressure, diabetes, of course, those things as well. How lifestyle is so crucial. I mean, like as doctors, a lot of people like you just give the pills, right? But that's not getting to the core. That's not really treating the person. And then I know in the public sector it's difficult because there's so many patients and you have to get through them.
Yeah.
And you have to carry your weight as well because I mean we're only a certain amount of doctors and we have to get through all those patients. So it's difficult. You can't like counsel this patient for the longest period about everything, but it's challenging. But I really want to.
There's actually one of my questions coming up later on. It's, medicine is reactive.
Yeah.
Whereas something like fitness and exercise and wellness is proactive.
Yes.
If you want to start at the hospitals, and not with everyone, I mean, there's hereditary stuff and all the rest. But if you want to start at hospital, look after yourself now.
100%.
I think I can't remember what the saying is, but it's something kind of to the effect of like, you never know what it's like to not be sick until you are sick, type thing. So you kind of take your healthcare for granted or your health for granted until it's gone.
100%.
And then it's really hard to kind of win it back.
Yeah, definitely. Like 100%. That's so true. So I don't know if you know how it works, like with the whole medical thing, but so you study for 6 years and then you do your 2-year internship in a government hospital, and then it's a community service year in a government hospital. And then after that, you can do what you want to, but unemployment rates after that is actually extremely high. So that's,
really?
yeah.
Even in medicine?
It's really scary, but there's so many unemployed doctors and you won't think it, but it's true. And people always say that like after your community service, it's so difficult to get a post in the public healthcare sector because the government doesn't have enough funds to employ more doctors. And now that I'm here and I'm like checking online the posts, I'm like, there's really like very few posts. So you start looking to the private sector and things like that. But then I can't remember what were we talking about. What was the point of my
No, but we're gonna run with this.
Oh, that's what I wanted to say. So I'm definitely looking into going a route of proactive health because that's what I'm so passionate about. So for next year, I don't know what it looks like, but I'm really about holistic health, being proactive, not just giving you your high blood or your diabetes medication, but let's actually get to the core. Let's actually prevent those things, or even people who are healthy, to let them come to me and let's look at your lifestyle. How's your sleep? Do you smoke? Do you use any substances? Things like that. To actually be proactive, because people just go to the doctor when they're sick, and I want to be the doctor that you go to before you actually get sick.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think fitness and nutrition, and that's like crucial parts for that.
Well, I think there's lots of preventative treatments, or not treatments, but a passion of mine and May's is to take what we're doing in fitness and take it to schools.
Amazing, yeah.
I just, having 2 young boys, we just see that the way sport is taught in schools from a physical education perspective is incredibly poor, and that's in a private school. So, delving into government schools, and we do a little bit of work with some other people that do work into townships and stuff like that, and it's just the ability of the South African public is incredible from a sporting perspective, but we want to nurture that and teach it and get people to fall in love with sport and movement. I think what you're doing, your story is going like after varsity when you wanted to put on weight, you didn't know how to do it. I think having a medical background is going to give you a lot of credibility
Definitely.
from a
Yeah.
back end perspective to go, I know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. Also, you living it. What would your ideal job look like then? Because it sounds like you're going to create one for yourself.
So the thing is, like, I feel like I like too many things, which I guess is a problem. And I guess that's also sort of why I don't look, I'm not looking to specialize at the moment, because there's not like this one thing that I feel like is for me. There's too many things that I'm passionate about. So I'm passionate about holistic health, which at the end of the day is clinical medicine, fitness, nutrition, and then looking and feeling good. So the aesthetics for me, for the women, that's also a side of it. My dream job would be having a woman walk into my room and telling me, listen, this is my life. How can we make you better, fitter, more confident, and just a healthier, happier version of yourself? So I think that's my dream job. I think that would be very satisfying because you can actually really change a person's life. So yeah.
For me, when I got back into fitness and it was kind of going well for me, and I thought there's something there, I didn't know quite what it was, never expected it to be a business. But I just wanted to inspire someone to the fat dad who's just got divorced, sitting on the couch having a beer, just to get up and get back out there, get his confidence back. The mom that's just pushed out a baby that wants to get her body back and get her confidence back. That was my kind of driver for going, like, something in the fitness and wellness space for me that I need to lend a voice to. So I think there's a lot of gaps. I mean, I can just only imagine if there was someone like you that just literally focused on pregnancy and pregnant women from the start, the whole planning process. Because with a medical background, you can help. Like, often people say to me, like, what exercises can I do at what stages of the trimester? Or, is it safe to do this race or that race? We've got a lady next weekend this weekend doing Daddy Dozen at 8 months pregnant.
Oh, okay, wow.
But she's a very fit person, so
Yeah,
she
so
feels
she
very
could,
comfortable. She's obviously in consultations with her doctors.
Yeah.
But like that sort of stuff, I wouldn't know, and nor should I give advice on it because I'm not a medical professional.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with this show. Like, we speak about our opinions. We're not going to give advice to anyone because we are not practitioners. I'll skip that one because that was the silent culture in healthcare. We've touched on that already. Balance. What does balance mean to you? I think, especially in public healthcare, your hours must be incredibly long. You're trying to probably balance your work, your family life, your faith, fitness. So there's a whole bunch in there. How do you balance it, and do you find balance?
So yes, I do. I can imagine once having kids, it might like throw a spanner in the works. But at the moment, I do feel like it is manageable. But I think it comes down to priorities. You will make time for the things that you prioritize in your life, and that's just facts. There's always time that you can cut down somewhere, whether it's your Netflix or whether you cut your gym session short with 15 minutes, whatever is important to you. And for me, what's important to me, obviously work, I have to go to work. But some things like my health in the sense of sleep, eating, like exercising, those are things that are like non-negotiables for me. If I come back from a 24-hour shift and I haven't slept, I will go straight to bed. I'll catch up on my sleep and then I'll go about my day again. Otherwise, I'll just be a wreck. So I definitely prioritize lifestyle. It's like everyone always says, it's cliche, but you can't look after other people if you can't look after yourself first, hey? And then family, like family and friends. My husband is a very big extrovert, so that's amazing because he also pushes me not to like fall into a work isolation, like just focusing on work and gym and those things the whole time, but actually like really reaching out to people, really making time for family because that's super important. I mean, like you can't take your job, like when you die, you can't take your job to heaven, you can't take your successes to heaven. So people are very important to me. And then of course I make time for exercise. Sometimes things get hectic and then you have to cut down on a gym session or so, but it's manageable. It's difficult and it's busy, but I mean, at the end of the day, you are gonna become a product of your daily habits. So you choose who you become, and your daily habits are up to you. What you do. If you watch Netflix for 3 hours every day, like it's not gonna make you better. It's not gonna have any like helpful. Yeah, you know what I mean.
No benefit to it.
Yeah.
I suppose priorities are one thing. I mean, we really struggle with balance. I'm a big advocate of you've got to put yourself first. And I think that's what you're touching on. But for us to actually do that's difficult. You start your work day, and our work day is not that structured, and it kind of runs away with you. throw in kids and travel and all the rest.
Yeah, can imagine.
It's super busy and difficult. And when we talk about Netflix, we're usually watching kids programs, so we don't even get to watch what we want. But that's part of life, I suppose. Um, you touched on it earlier as well. How do you identify burnout in your own life? And what do you do to avoid it when you see it creeping in?
Okay. So I will say I was on a verge of burnout around last year, and I didn't necessarily realize it's burnout. But the way it sort of manifested in my life is I would become more emotional. Like I said before, I'm actually not very emotional. I am a soft person, but I'm not a very emotional person. Like I don't cry a lot, if I can say it that way. And like things at work would start really like catching me. I'd sort of feel more emotional about things, and then I got sick a lot. Like that's also a big thing. And then when you get sick, you also don't exercise. And exercise actually helps with preventing burnout. So it's just like a spiral effect. So usually if I can, and like really being a bit slower, like at work, I was starting to realize I'm not as fast. I'm slower with seeing patients. So that's sort of the way it manifested for me, to see when I'm getting a bit burnt out. But things that really help for me, sometimes you do need to take a day or two leave. You need to just not think about work, really
Yeah.
get away a bit. Um, Spending time with friends and family and not talking about work. I'm really a big advocate of not talking about work all the time. Me and my husband, I guess we're a bit strange in that aspect, but we actually rarely talk about work at home. Um, yeah, I don't know why, but it's just sort of that way, and I think it's good for us. Um, and then exercise, 100%. Like it helps so much to prevent burning out. It's like exercising is like a little stress release button, and I think I don't know how people do it that don't exercise. Honestly, I don't know. Like, what do they do to like sort of get rid of that stress? I really don't know how they do it. But yeah, for me, that's definitely how I deal with it.
My mind's an absolute mess without exercise.
Yeah.
I've got a very busy mind. Yeah, talking about work and stuff at home, me and May, not very good with that because we work together, we do everything together, we do the podcast together. And, a lot of it is we do work from home as well because we're all over the place. So we've just finally taken a warehouse and an office just because we want to leave work at work. And being entrepreneurs as well, there's never an off. You're on 24/7. So we have to find more time to relax and do stuff. And unfortunately, our version of relaxing is trying to book a fitness race somewhere outside of our own. And then I think just coming back to exercise. Exercise just for me is probably the best medicine. Diet's another one. It's you spoke about getting sick. I got really sick. It's about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. I was training really hard. I was in the best shape of my life. I was lean, but I was training 10 times a week. I was getting enough rest, but my diet wasn't good enough. And even though I looked good, ultimately I was starving myself. I was eating a lot, but I wasn't getting enough protein. I wasn't getting enough carbs. And I got really, really sick. And I literally didn't get out of bed for almost 12 days. And then it was like a knock-on effect for 3-4 months. So it's just diet and exercise for me is super important. So it is about finding that balance. Finding time. We do spend a lot of time with family. It is something that we haven't really prioritized. I think we've neglected friends to a large extent, but we've been busy, so we kind of fall into work equals friends, and we do have a lot of friends in our work circles. I'm very much an extrovert, and May is very much an introvert. I think very similar to you and your husband. And I think it's good. I kind of pull her out to get a bit more social, and she kind of dials me back to be less social and maybe relax a little bit more.
But I wanted to add, I can really resonate with what you said in the sense of, like you said, you were super fit, but you weren't eating like that perfectly, and then you actually got sick. And that's sort of part of my story. Like, you can look amazing, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you are really healthy, right?
Yeah.
Like, when I was in my first year of university, I wanted to gain weight, and I was eating whatever. And I was also drinking a lot of alcohol. It's first year university. And not sleeping enough, not eating right, exercising here and there. I was sick all the time, and didn't know why, but hello, I wasn't sleeping. I was drinking alcohol like alcohol. Oh yeah, that's but yeah. So those type of things, it's the basics. It really is the basics, and I think a lot of women always think that you need to jump onto this fitness program, this 4 weeks or 8 weeks how to get to lean and this extreme diet. And it's really not in the extremes. It's not in this extreme training program or this extreme diet. It's just like building a lifestyle that you can actually fall in love with, that you can actually be consistent with and actually call it a lifestyle. And that's fitness for me and what I would really encourage people.
You're a big advocate for that, and so am I. I've always just said diets don't work. They really don't.
Yeah.
And a lot of people want a quick fix. There's no quick fix. For me, especially females, the slower you lose the weight, the less chance you have of putting it back on. Anything that comes easy or comes fast, easy come, easy go. And it's about creating that lifestyle that, eat sweets, have a drink, find your balance. You can't be. It's all about fitness and all the rest, because then you just lack balance in other parts of your life.
And it's not sustainable. And if I tell myself I can't have a chocolate, then I would want it so much more. And if I know I can have a chocolate, then I might maybe eat one tomorrow. Like it's sort of like telling yourself you can't, then you actually really want to. Just like being too strict on yourself, it's not sustainable.
And what does you obviously with Biogen. I think even if you hadn't won Face of Fitness, you'd probably still be with Biogen. You know what I mean? I think you've got a strong allegiance to the brand. What role does supplementation play in your life, and what would you suggest, especially to women out there, one sup every woman should be taking?
Okay, look, there's a lot of supplements out there. There's a lot of great things, but I always say if I can recommend two for any female,
I did say one. No, I'm kidding. You can do two.
One is too difficult.
You can do two.
Okay, I'm doing two. But a protein supplement and creatine. So protein supplement, just because it forms such a crucial part of your diet. I, for one, for me, for instance, I don't really count calories, but I do check my macros. And protein, how much protein I consume is a big thing for me, because it's crucial for building muscle, and it's crucial for losing weight, and that's at the end of the day, that's what everyone wants to achieve, right? And then creatine is definitely, it's become huge, but it's a cheaper supplement, firstly, so it's actually something that people can buy more easily, but basically it just gives you more energy so that you can actually train harder, because it makes ATP, so it's basically more energy in your muscles and your brain. So 100% those two, hands down, it's an easy question for me. It's a no-brainer.
Creatine's the most researched supplement on the planet.
Yeah.
It's incredibly safe. Women need it more than men. Everyone thinks it's for men. Maybe just jump into, I understand it to a certain degree, but just maybe jump into what macros are. Because I think a big gap for you in the market is all of this is very intimidating. And I get intimidated by supplements, because it's like someone who doesn't drink walking into a bottle store and looking at all these wines and going, I need to buy my friend a bottle of wine. But there's just so many varietals, there's so many things. You don't know what it does for you from a substance perspective.
Exactly, and there's so many supplements, so someone can sell anything to you because you actually have no clue, what do you really need? If someone in the supplement aisle, they'll tell you need all of this, but, it depends on your goals, and there's certain supplements that you'll definitely get more benefit from. But coming back to your question about macros, so it's about your ratios of protein, carbs, fats, those type of things. So I'm very pro high protein, high fiber diet. Actually, when I started becoming more eating healthy and things like that, I was eating a lot of protein and things like rice and potatoes, but I wasn't actually eating enough fruits and vegetables. I did that discovery vitality test, and then they asked how many portions of veggies and fruit. I'm like, oh no.
And the vitality age just went down.
I'm like, ooh, I need to eat more fruits and veggies. And like I said, fitness is a journey for me, and then I also realize I need to eat more veggies and fruits and fibers and things like that. And then another thing is I think a lot of women think carbs are from the devil,
And fat.
Yeah, fats as well. And that's another thing, your different types of...
Your healthy fats.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Necessary.
Even when I did that vitality test, that was a few years ago now. But my HDL, my good cholesterol, it was still fine, but it was on the lower range. And I started eating more nuts and avocados and things with healthy fats and olive oils. And when I did it the next year, it went up a lot. So, and those things are, you associate fats with being bad, but it's actually so good. Healthy fats are good for your cardiovascular health. So, it's actually just knowing what macros to take and how much to take off each. I focus definitely a lot more on macros than counting calories. Yeah.
I need to count calories a bit more. I just know it's actually a very easy sum if you want to lose weight, just being a calorie deficit. But the second part to that is just make sure you're eating the right foods on top of it.
Definitely.
And fueling your body if you go from training once a day to twice a day and you're doing 600 calories a session, you got to be fueling yourself for those 600 calories. Otherwise, you're going to lose muscle mass, as you know.
100%.
But Joe, I think especially in the supplement side, I'd like to see a lot more education from all brands. Actually, I think all brands. I remember the first brand that backed me, big brand, and I went to go speak to a guy who'd been there for a long time, and he said, "What do you want? What do you want to achieve? What sport are you doing?" And I told him, he said, 60% of our products are completely useless to you. And that's the facts. And that's every supplement brand. So it's more about like what do you need, where your deficiencies are, what you're looking to achieve, and then just going with that. While we're on that, strength training changed not just your body, but the way you see yourself. I mean, maybe just want to go on about how important strength training is, especially for women, because a lot of women hear strength, they go, oh, I'm going to get big.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same with creatines and proteins and stuff like that. Women want to stay smaller, but the more you introduce that, I mean, the best way to actually burn fat is strength training.
Exactly. I think women just always, it's even still now, you think the myth wouldn't be here anymore, but it's still a myth. Women think they will get bulky if they do too many weights and strength training, but facts are we don't have the testosterone of males. We don't have that testosterone. We won't get bulky like that. The thing is, I think what happens to most women are they want to lose weight, and then if they do start with weight training, now they look at the scale, everything goes up a bit, they feel like they're getting bulkier, but actually you just need to continue with that, because as you continue with weight training, your basal metabolic rates will actually increase, you'll actually start building fat, but now you're just feeling like you're building muscle and you're still having that fat, and then you just look at the scale. Like looking at the scale means nothing. It's just a number. Like you have to actually look in the mirror. But I think that's why a lot of women still think you'll get bulky when you do weights. But my advice would be just to keep pushing through, because you won't build that much muscle. You just need to like go on with it, because then you'll actually start burning fat, and then you'll actually see the results that you do want to see.
I think a lot of people that start to go on that sort of fitness journey or weight loss journey, they start to, maybe women look bulkier or bigger, but they're getting more toned because they're losing fat. I know when I get leaner, people go, geez, you've gotten big. And it's not about that. You're actually 5 kilos down.
Yeah.
But now you're not looking chubby anymore. You're looking a little bit more toned.
Yeah.
So you're naturally looking more in shape.
Yeah.
Got an interesting question here. Something which women knew about their body that's not getting spoken about or taught. Can you tell us one thing women should know about their body?
Okay, well, this is sort of tying in with muscle mass, but for women, why it's specifically important for women building muscle mass is bone density. Women are at an increased risk of losing their bone density as they get older. And I mean, that's something that I see every day at work, like an older lady falling, frail, breaking a hip, breaking. And those things, like if an older lady breaks a hip, like their mortality rate, meaning like dying in the next few years, actually goes up like a lot. So building muscle, because that really is also strengthening your bones. So that's really important, and that's why I think we should stop looking at, oh, how am I looking now, and actually play the long game, because you're just thinking about physique and how you look. But we're all gonna get older, and you want to be a fit and healthy granny one day. And the focus is so much on physique. And I guess it's not a bad thing, because then you'll actually exercise and you will become that healthy granny. But you have to look for in the long term. And then another thing that's not fitness related is that I'm passionate about in educating people is actually cervical cancer, because it's so sad when you get a patient and you diagnose them with cervical cancer and just it's so advanced that you can't do anything, and it's actually so preventable in the sense of ladies that are sexually active must get a pap smear, and you should go, it depends on your age and person to person for how regularly you have to go get your pap smear, but it's something that is actually very a preventable cancer that a lot of people don't speak about. They don't really know much about cervical cancer, who gets cervical cancer, who's more at risk. It's something that's not spoken a lot about. And I can speak to a lot of people and ask, have you ever had a pap smear? And a lot of people would be like, no. And it's just a basic screening that women have to go for.
Obviously in the private sector, prevalent, like people do go and it's almost like an annual checkup. But in the public sector, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's the thing.
is it something that is available to people?
It is available, but
Is it education? Is it a cultural thing?
I think the thing is it is available, but it's not just regularly offered to every person. It's sort of like they have to ask for it. So only once there's a problem, you'll be, oh, have you ever had a pap smear? So I think that's definitely a gap that still needs to be reached, like having that general checkups. We do have our high risk patients, like immunocompromised patients, will always like ask, they make sure they get their pap smear regularly. But just for the general population, I mean, if you have a 27-year-old lady, I don't think most doctors won't ask, have you ever had a pap smear? You know,
Yeah.
because you're still young, you're healthy, you know, not proactive, we're reactive once again. Yeah.
Then mental health and movement. How does that tie together for you?
Okay. So for me, movement is like a proactive thing, and also a coping mechanism. Um, Definitely like exercising. Like I said earlier, I don't know how people cope mentally if they don't exercise. So 100% movement. I mean, let's say for instance someone dealing with depression, I literally think exercising is medicine. Yes, that person, the last thing that person would feel like doing is exercising, in the same way the last thing they would feel like is drinking a coffee with someone. But those are two medicines that aren't technically a medicine, but they need to go out and exercise. They need to go out and speak to people, because actually that's like the best medicine for mental health. But it's the thing that you will feel the least like doing.
Yeah.
So it's like realizing that and really deciding, I'm going to do this. Doesn't matter what I feel like, but sometimes you need someone to sort of pull you
Pull
out
you
of
out of
that
it.
and help you. Mm.
I mean, it can start as simple as like going for a walk. You know, that's where
Yeah,
exercise can, and it's
definitely.
free.
It doesn't have to be this intense gym workouts, or it can be something just like going out to play paddle with a friend, going on a walk. Yeah, it can be something simple like that. A lot of people also like, they think exercise, oh, it's so intense. It doesn't, it can be something that you enjoy. I think it's just something that you must fall in love with. Do something you like, whether it's maybe playing tennis or going for a walk, whatever it is, or swimming, just like some type of movement, or
Just
dancing, you know?
reignite it.
Yeah, just something that keeps you moving, that you actually enjoy. Yeah.
This one's quite interesting for me just because I think everyone falls into that trap. Social media
Mm.
and the comparisons we draw between people. You know, a lot of people might look at you on social media and go, okay, they draw some sort of conclusion from it.
Mm.
You look at my social media, it look like I got a six pack. I don't anymore. But there's a lot of people, and it's really a highlights reel. I
Mm.
mean, young women specifically going through social media. There's especially a lot of let's call it influencers. I hate the word, but a lot of the influencers, they are having professional photo shoots. They've got hair and
Mm.
makeup. They've got lighting. They've got everything. But now you've got these young impressionable women growing up looking at this and going like, I can never look like that,
Mm.
and then
Yeah.
actually getting upset about it or taking drastic action to change body or lifestyle or diet. I mean, what advice would you give to young women out there with regards to social media specifically?
You're like, I think, especially with doing Bajan Face of Fitness, it even made it clearer to me, because even though I'm super fit and was like extra like working on my physique for this Bajan Face of Fitness, I mean a professional photo with the perfect lighting, with a spray tan. I actually went for spray tan. I'm already tanned, but I even went for a spray tan. But those things, the makeup, the spray tan, the lights, it just makes you look next level on
Mm,
Instagram. But when you go look at yourself in the mirror, maybe you just ate a burger and you feel a bit bloated. I mean, like, you don't always look like that. You just see the best photo. So definitely, like, yeah, comparing yourself to people on Instagram, yeah,
I think it's becoming the best version of yourself. And
yeah, yeah,
do it for
100%,
you. I mean, I
yeah,
don't want to ever compare myself to someone. I want to get back to the best version of myself. Let's call it a
100%.
year ago before May started feeding me, and but being a dad, being a partner, I want to be the best version of me. I want to be the healthiest I can be, and I'm not at the moment. But that's where the balance has been lacking in my life. So I want to just, sort of in closing, when you think of the words strong, healthy, and happy, what does that look like to you? What does it mean to you? What is your life, your utopia? What does that kind of entail?
Strong, healthy, and happy. It's sort of like I said earlier. I'm all about holistic health, spirit, mind, body. So if those three things are happy and I'm healthy, I'm fit, I'm spiritually and mentally, I'm in a good place and I can see my loved ones often, then I'm a happy gal. That's basically me. It's so simple, but those are the things that, yeah.
Is there anyone playing in that space at the moment? Pulling all three together from a holistic perspective,
What do you mean?
from a business side? I mean, is there anyone giving guidance and becoming? Because it's to a large extent, I'd call it a life coach more than anything else, because you can help people with their mental well-being,
Yeah,
their
it's
wellness,
true.
their spirituality, their fitness. I think it's a very interesting space you could potentially explore.
That's what I'm passionate about, and I guess that's my dream. It's just how do I start? How do I get? Because like we sort of said, I can't think of anyone that's sort of doing that at the moment. I mean, you have your doctors, you have your personal trainers and your dietitians, but like to sort of, I guess you have your life coaches, but it's, yeah, I don't know, it's human beings are complex and we're so multifaceted, but I would love to be the person that can sort of put everything together and to look at a picture in whole. Yeah.
Okay, one more
No,
question.
you can ask.
What does healing mean to you?
Healing mean to me? Yo, that's a difficult question.
That's why I saved it to the end.
Oh, you're asking the most difficult question right at the end. But for me, healing is more than just having a physical healed body. It's about overall wellness. Um, it's about really being confident, healthy, and happy with yourself. And like we said earlier, like being the best and healthiest version of yourself. It doesn't help if I compare my body to a personal trainer that maybe what she does for. Let me start over. Scratch this.
We're going to keep it.
No. But it's about being the healthiest and fittest version of yourself and not comparing yourself with other people, because we're not living the same life. I mean, there's doctors out there that are specializing and doing amazing things, and that can be intimidating to me because I'm like, why am I not doing those things? But that's not my passion. That's not my purpose. That's not my calling, you know? Or there can be people in the fitness industry that's like looking next level. But I mean, it doesn't help. I compare myself with them because I do 24-hour calls. My life is completely different. I have other priorities, you know? And that's like that way for each and every person out there. We have different stories, different passions, different goals. So comparing yourself to anyone else, it's empty. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, and we really look forward to seeing what's coming. I think there's some exciting news on the horizon. You just need to kind of tap into that.
Yeah.
And all the best.
Thank you for having me. It was so nice chatting to you.
Pleasure.
Awesome.